All right, folks, welcome to the first episode of Behind the Brand with Ahna. This is the pre-party. Woohoo! Thanks so much for everyone who's joining us. I have been shown so much love online the last couple of weeks leading up to this as I've started promoting this show, especially in the last couple of days, just talking about it, talking about what I'm going to be doing with this series, and looking forward to getting it started. I've got KP Kelly with me today. Kind of the format of this show is we're just going to kind of be pulling people in throughout and talking with them about kind of how they'd like to see this show evolve. But before we get started with all of that, couple of things. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Ahna Hendricks, and I'm the CEO of Arch Digital Agency. And Arch Digital Agency is a full-service social media marketing agency comprised of specialists. Trying to get you a link here so you could check that out. Kevin is my Twitter marketing specialist. So very thrilled to have Kevin on the show with me today. He's a very good friend of mine. Anyway, in addition to what I do during the day, the reason I am putting this show together is because I am a big lover of stories. Personal journeys, personal stories have always been something that have been very inspirational for me. And that's where the passion for this show came from. I grew up watching Actors Studios, and I just loved the format of that show. It's simple, it's straightforward, but it's personal. And the thing is, you kind of walk away feeling like you really know this person. And I love that because it really creates a connection with someone else. You find yourself relating to other people, maybe relating to a story, like a hardship they've been through, and really just being able to garner some knowledge from that. So that is what Behind the Brand is going to be about. I'm going to be interviewing a wide range of entrepreneurs and professionals across every industry. I am very fortunate to know a lot of incredible people and with just really interesting stories. And I will be bringing them on. We'll be talking back and forth. People will be able to jump in and ask questions towards the end part of the show. Of course, asking questions throughout. And it's just going to be a lot of fun and hopefully very inspirational for those that are watching and participating. So with that being said, Kevin,
yeah.
I kind of wanted to start it off just by talking about the fact that it's 2016. Where are we at over here with these comments?
They're just confused about who Kevin is.
All right, folks. Sorry, KP is Kevin to me. We've known each other for how long now?
5 years, probably. 5
years. Okay, yeah.
I said that quietly, like I didn't want to admit to knowing you that long. I'd known her for 5 years.
Welcome, Sada.
2016. I will be writing 2015 though for the next 2 months, and then crossing off the 5 and putting in a 6. That's how I start my.
Yeah, I journal every day, and it's still kind of I've had to cross it out a couple of days now. It's very endearing, I think. Or he's in big trouble. Well, that's just when the middle name gets thrown in there.
Break up the middle name, yeah.
But no, I wanted to kind of start out with talking a little bit about 2016. I know that for me, starting a new year is huge, and I've been working hard on putting together resolutions for 2016 and goals, things that I want to accomplish. Have you been doing that at all, Kevin?
Yeah, I did my goals on about 10 p.m. on New Year's Eve. So waited to the last minute, but got those in there.
Fair enough. I was sleeping by then, but That's good. That's
I did
good. Better late than never.
I did fall asleep before.
You what?
I fell asleep before midnight, but I woke up right as midnight struck, as my neighbors were banging pots and pans and fireworks.
All right. How about everybody else? How are those New Year's resolutions coming along? I know that a couple of people I've talked to, like they use kind of the first month of a new year to actually start working on, like really putting together resolutions and those sorts of things. Uh, Austin already quit on half of them. Uh-oh, better get into it. Desire mapping. I have heard about this actually. Quite intrigued with it, Miss Natasha, and welcome to the show. Typical entrepreneur, last minute.
Goal setting.
Yes, Shannon, we do things last minute. And I used a planner. Nice. Nice. We've got some on the ball folks here.
Somebody else uses a planner like I do. Old school.
No, I use a planner. It's on my cell phone and it's on my computer. I have like 3. They're all for different purposes, but I definitely write stuff down all the time. For the rest of you folks, if you have not sat down and worked through 2015, but are actually already looking ahead to 2016, I created a worksheet that you can download and it's free. It's fantastic for your business. Really kind of like getting down with the nitty gritty of what happened in 2015 and how to make that better in 2016. So I'm going to include a link to that right here for you. And you can check that out. I can guarantee you that it will help you. It's pretty intense, but I've gotten some excellent feedback from it. So I like to really spend a lot of time reviewing my year and then planning for the upcoming year. So this is something that you can use, just print off and do yourself. What's up, Carlos? Great to have you. All right, folks. Well, let's go ahead. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start getting ready with this show. I'm going to be asking everybody 3 questions. First, who would you like to see interviewed? 2, what types of things are interesting to you in an interview? And 3, what have you liked about interviews that you've already seen? So I'll be going back and forth through those throughout the show as people are jumping in and definitely asking you them specifically. So no need to remember. But Kevin, you're my first here. And folks, go ahead and start, trying to jump into the seats, and I'll be bringing you in momentarily. So
question number 1, ask me.
Who would you like to see interviewed? What kind of people would you be interested in seeing interviewed, Kevin?
Anna, that's a very good question. I'm glad that you asked me. I think for me, some guests are a little bit different than what we see on Blab. So on Blab, I'd mentioned to you before, it's a lot of talking heads like me, but a lot of people in the live streaming and social media marketing. So having maybe business owners on, but that aren't social media marketers, aren't in that day-to-day, so they may have some different perspectives than your typical base audience will be on Periscope. I'd like to see that, just to get to kind of get different perspectives on things.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have some awesome social media friends, but this is definitely going to extend far outside the reaches of social media. The first show is actually going to be about a world traveler who has been making a major difference in this world, in addition to traveling and living all over it. So not social media related. He is utilized a little bit, but actually, called me to figure out how to use his Instagram. So definitely not a professional social media specialist. Do what?
But he's on the Facebook.
He is on the Facebook. He does the Facebook. This is very true. Okay. What kinds of things would be interesting to you in an interview? What kind of questions?
Well, I think there's some typical questions that are going to be specific to that guest, but maybe getting to know, you're going to probably have people on that are fairly successful, have a very interesting story to tell, and the story is interesting, and what they're doing is interesting, but how they got there, I think, would interest me and probably interest the audience, because that's what we can relate to even more. It's awesome to hear about the success, but hearing how they got there or challenges they overcame, because we can relate to that and then take something from it, that would be cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this show is really a lot more about the journey than reaching, where they're currently at or what's currently going on. That's certainly going to be a part of it, but the journey is where all the good stuff is. It's like where I start geeking out and have all the questions and want to know, like, how did you do that when you had 3 kids, or how did you do that when you were, what I mean? Like all of those things that people deal with, just the personal journey to actually becoming successul.
And the journey is more challenging, but often the rewarding part and where all the memories come from. I think also
totally.
maybe some fun Ahna questions that are thrown in to throw the guest off a little bit and have a little fun would be good. Something random.
Random questions. I like it.
Like a random, yeah.
I like it.
Maybe you have like some little giant wheel that would probably cost way too much, and they spin it.
Oh.
Random Ahna question.
Wheel of Fortune question.
Wheel of Ahna questions.
Oh, I like that idea. Very nice. Okay. Yeah, that's really good. I'm taking notes here, so if you see me writing down.
That's good.
Ahna's always taking notes. Okay, I like it. Ahna's answers. Wait, but I won't be the one answering them, Carlos.
Well, I think if you ask the guest a off-the-wall random question, you should be obligated to answer it yourself also. Ahna asked.
Did their group of friends change? Who did they surround themselves with?
A good person to have on to ask the 3 questions. She's getting.
Saba's definitely going to be jumping in.
And I know Austin has wise, but Austin's feedback would be awesome as well.
Austin asks, interesting. Okay. All right. One more question, Kevin.
I can do this.
What have you liked about interviews that you've seen on Blab? What are some features that have stuck out to you that would make you come back for more?
On Blab, I mean, I don't know if I'm the same as most people, but for me, it has been when it's been somebody I haven't seen before. That alone kind of gets my attention to pause and check out the Blab. And then when, they're kind of like I said in question 2, maybe some questions are just about themselves and about the journey. When they're sharing a little bit more about themselves, other than just a standard 1-sentence answer that you can totally predict because it's what anybody would answer when the question's asked. When I see somebody maybe with that little bit more personality share more about themselves, that gets me to stay on to the Blab. And again, it's the relating thing. It gets me, I'm able to relate to them a little bit, and gets the conversation going in the comment section a little bit too.
So more personal answers. More
personal answers, right? And then I've liked ones where they do open themselves up to answering questions from the audience as well, that the guest does. Especially for you after you do a couple of shows, and then you'll have your group of people that jump in and kind of have their couple of questions. But after that, people, they can get an answer from a guest that's maybe a little different than how you would reply.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, I like it. A lot. See, the thing is that if you're not utilizing your audience to be better, then you're missing out, because I mean, nobody knows everything, right? No matter how fantastic or incredible you are. So by asking other people, I mean, man, it's fantastic, because it gets those creative juices going, right? It makes you start thinking about things that you may not have thought of. Or maybe you get caught up in something else, like, oh, I have to have a nice background. So, is this going to be whatever? And someone's like, wait a minute, are you asking this question, or are you doing this? And that is why we are having a pre-party with you all today.
Some of you want to use that one as an example? You can throw it in. I'm ready. The off the
Throw what?
Anna asks.
Anna asks. Okay,
question.
random question. Random question.
It's already somebody. Shannon just asked it in the chat. You'll see it in your question section.
Oh, okay. I like that. Nice. All right, let's do this. What is your favorite kind of cheese? That's good.
And remember, you have to answer after I do. So for me, that would be any cheese that, as we talked about earlier, any cheese that comes on a pizza and in mass quantities is a cheese I'll like. But I usually say mozzarella. If I had to just
like fresh mozzarella.
Well, I'm a single, bachelor living alone, so fresh mozzarella doesn't happen too often around here. But if the option is there, yes, I would prefer fresh over grocery store prepackaged that I heat up in the microwave, which is my usual cheese.
Gross. Gross. Carlton says provolone. I love provolone. That's a good choice. Mozzarella is fantastic too. My favorite actually is going to be, it's a Trader Joe's specialty. It is a goat cheese brie. It's a mix, and it is like, oh, I have 1.5 circles in my fridge right now. It's incredible. I'm a big fan. I'm also lactose intolerant, so I have to pop a pill before I eat it, but that's okay. I can do that.
Swiss cheese, you said. I always felt
Swiss cheese. Heck yes.
That I was getting like shorted cheese.
Nice. Nice. See, we've got some people with
those of you who are just joining,
here.
Welcome to What's Your Favorite Cheese with Anna Hendricks.
What about a blab to work through the planner? You know what, Natasha, I actually have thought about that, and I just may do that because I would love to walk people through planning out their 2015-2016 goals. So thank you for voicing that opinion. Cracking up, Kevin. Kevin is one of these people. He's got this very dry, sarcastic sense of humor, and I love it. We're always cracking up about different things. He certainly adds.
Our favorite thing to do
plenty of entertainment
is to WhatsApp message each other back and forth during presidential debates. That is a good time.
And talk smack about everyone who's on stage.
Right.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and Saba. Do you want to go ahead and jump in here, Miss Thing?
Saba. In my mind, that would encourage her, and she would jump in, and everybody would cheer.
Ooh, Cheval.
It's not a blab.
Wow.
The ball doesn't stop by. That's the rule of blab.
Saba!
How are
What's
you?
up, pretty lady?
I'm good. I feel like there's like no light in here.
I know. Where are you?
Well, anyways.
You look really tan.
I know. I think it's the lack of light in here. Or maybe I just got tan while it's cloudy in Texas. I don't know.
I mean, either way, tan's
You know what? And I have a rule about like lighting. So I feel like if you chip a crit right now, let's see. Here we go.
Well, next time you jump on, you've got to.
I know this is not my usual setting, so I'm sorry.
All right. Well, thanks so much for jumping in.
Yeah,
I'm glad that you could join and that you're here. For you folks who don't know Saba is like Miss Little Blab Superstar, and she's got tons of fantastic input for Blabs. I've definitely talked about this show with her a couple different times, just asking her advice, being like, what do you think of my graphic? What do you think about this? Really grateful for our friendship. So thank you for coming and supporting me.
Of course.
Okay. I definitely want to get your feedback. So I'm going to kind of run through the same questions with you as I did with Kevin. First of all, who would you like to see be interviewed on this show?
Well, I do agree with Kevin about the fact that people that are not currently on this platform, or maybe even on social media in general. I know people kind of in like the online marketing space, they're only aware of people who have like a social presence, and there's so many interesting people doing really cool things that are not. And so I always try to seek out people who are not so much on people's radars because they haven't put the time to do that and build that brand equity, but they're doing amazing things. I love that you have someone who's traveling. I travel like way too often, probably more than I should, but I think people like that have a really great perspective on life. They understand the world in a way that many that don't decide to travel can see things. And so I think those type of people are really great. I think people who have overcome challenges that a lot of people may think are so intimidating and they found success. I know those are really inspiring. And then I think people that were able to create businesses out of things that like you wouldn't think of could be a business. I'll give you an example. Like there's this lady I follow on Instagram and she does calligraphy. I am obsessed with calligraphy.
Yes, I love it too. Love it too.
So like if you told someone like, oh, you know, like my passion's calligraphy, they would literally laugh at you. They'd be like, that's weird. But she has the most beautiful Instagram. She has courses. I mean, hers is social media based, but I think there's a lot of companies like that where they have very, very niche markets. And I'd be interested to know how they were able to find their target, not only find their target audience, but how they were able to actually market to them effectively to create a business out of it.
I think that's great. Yeah, I actually took calligraphy when I was in private school in 5th grade, and I was like always this nerd of a kid who spent all her money on pens and paper growing up instead of toys and cool stuff, because I'm a writer. But I loved, like when I started learning how to just write cursive in elementary school, I was so about that. And then calligraphy, forget it. I still have multiple calligraphy pens and have been eyeing this box, kind of like a starter kit at Barnes and Noble. But I agree with you. I think that, you know, people with a wide range of interests and like you're saying, people who are not typically on this platform. My guest next week, he had to sign up for an account. He actually did that today so that, you know, that he can kind of start watching blabs and seeing what's going on before he jumps in one. But yeah, I think that there's just such a wide range of people out there to bring on online. So, and for you folks who are watching, please feel free to contact me on Twitter at Ahna Hendricks if there's a specific person who you would like to see interviewed or you think would be good to have on the show. Please pass those names along. Okay, always good answers from Ms. Saba. So what kind of things would be most interesting for you to see in an interview?
Like hear about, you're like asking?
Sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, I said it in the chat, but I guess I'll just expand on it a little bit. But for me, I believe a lot in the people that you surround yourself with. They always say you become the 5 closest people that you hang out with. And so I'd be curious, you know, becoming successful or getting from point A to point B for any goal requires you to change in a certain way or challenge yourself in a certain way. And in most situations, you have to change the people that you hang out around. And sometimes they start out as, you know, just, you know, connections that you create, and then they become your friends. That's something that I've experienced just in the short time that I've been in this space. And I think that that is a really, really key factor in someone's success, not shutting out those people that are really going to help you, not only professionally, but personally, because they've gone through it. And so the type of people they surround themselves with, how were they able to connect with them? How were they able to build those relationships? I think every person's experience is different, also because of the fact that some people are not always extroverts. I think that's another thing everyone in social media assumes, is that everyone on social media is so outgoing. So you're like, oh, I'll never come across a shy person. But that's like not the case, right? So I think I'd be interested to know how they broke through those barriers.
I like that. I like that a lot. I honestly think that, and I don't know about you, but I feel like in the social media community, and I'm sure Kevin has an opinion on this as well, but the majority of people that I've met in person after knowing online are actually very introverted. face to face. Some of the most successful people as well in social media are very introverted. When John Loomer and I met the first time several years ago, and this was, before he like really blew up, it was amazing to me how shy he was. It was just really all about baseball and being a dad to his sons. Like that was his main focus, but he wanted to provide for them, obviously. And I loved that, But I definitely think those personality types are very interesting.
I probably didn't come across an introvert in person, though, did I?
No. Not even a little bit. Okay. So third question, what have you liked about interviews you've seen on Blab? What are some key features that make them stand out?
I feel weird answering this question because I interview so much.
That's okay though. I mean, you watched them though as well. And maybe the thing is like, the fact that you have interviewed is even better because, you've kind of seen what works and maybe what doesn't, or you know what I mean? So
Yeah. I think one of the most important things is to make sure that although you want to plan to a certain point, you want to leave a lot of it to the flow of the conversation. I mean, like the worst blabs I've seen are the ones where like, they have that like PDF with all their questions and they're just trying to like crank through them. And like, it is so painful. And so that would be one thing. And then the other thing is to really try to like deep dive into certain things that you feel like are doing really well with the audience. And usually you can tell by the chat, making sure that you have them really explain something, because a lot of times the first answer they give you is going to be like kind of a boilerplate answer in their mind. And they're not going to go in depth until you kind of ask them to elaborate on that. And then you'll have like the opposite where like you'll ask a guest a question and they like will go on for like 15 minutes and then you kind of have the opposite problem.
Has that ever happened to you? I've never seen that happen to you, Saba.
Yeah.
I can tend to be long-winded with my question or my answers too. So I have a little bit of mercy for those folks just because sometimes I think too, when it comes to questions that people ask, if they're not specific, then it really can end up being like this kind of huge question, right? That will take forever. It's like, so when did your career start? It's like, what? Like, what career do you mean? What are you talking about? Like, when did I launch my business? When did I start working? 10? You know what I mean? Like, I think being really specific with questions is really important too.
Yeah. And then one of my favorite interviewers is Sarah Lacey. She does Pando Daily and she interviews tech founders. And I think she does like a really, I think if there's anyone that I've learned a lot from in terms of interviewing is her. Like she will just ask a very specific question and that person is going to give you a very specific answer. And that's and that's the thing, right? Like, I don't think it's the person who's getting interviewed's responsibility to add value. I think it's the person who's interviewing's responsibility to get the value out of that person.
Yeah, I agree. What is her name again?
Sarah Lacey, and she does Pando Monthly. And then I think the series on YouTube is like Pando Daily. She's interviewed everyone from like Kevin Systrom to the founders of SoulCycle and
nice.
Mark Andreessen. She's based out of Silicon Valley. So.
Is it through YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Didn't know if she was a blab lady or not.
No.
Okay.
God, I wish.
Well, maybe she'll start using the platform soon. I guess we're just going to have to see.
I hope so.
Awesome. Okay. So is there anything else that you would like to see, Saba?
No, I mean, I'm just excited. I've seen you kind of interview once before or twice before, I believe. And so I'm just excited for the people you bring on. So it's going to be good.
Some awesome people. So I'm very excited myself. I think the main thing is going to be for me to stay calm enough so that I'm not like, the questions and I'll get better. As time goes. I just get too excited. So
it's okay. I mean, the opposite's a lot worse. So
no doubt. my shows won't be boring. I'll start hula hooping or putting on music. We will have fun.
I don't doubt it.
You just combined the hula with hula hooping.
With the what?
You just combined the hula with hula hooping. That would be fun to see you try that.
Whatever. All right. Well, folks, who else would like to jump in the seat here? Saba, thanks so much. Really appreciate your support. You're such a good friend, and thanks for your feedback because it was awesome. I have a good chunk of notes from you. So
awesome. Thanks for having me. Much. I'll be in the chat.
Okay. All right. Have you seen one of have you watched Carlos and Saba on Social 545?
Who's Carlos now?
Oh, Carlos.
I'm just kidding. Yes, I have. I saw the one you were on, and then I've caught a couple of others. A few I've jumped in live, but the replays I usually catch. Shockingly enough, and this is just really a shame on me, sometimes I forget when Social 545 is. Should never forget the time, but it's West Coast, so 8:45.
5:45, yeah, absolutely.
Basketball game goes on TV, and I forget that it's on. But I try to catch it when I can. It's a good time to catch.
All right, Carlos, you want to jump in? Probably chomping at the bits here. There we go.
The energy of this show is about to increase.
Oh, we forgot to ask Saba a random question.
Random question.
What's going on, guys?
What's up, Carlos?
What up?
You know what? I think that okay, so we need to start off with a random question.
Let's do it.
Because we forgot to ask Saba a random question. I'll answer the rest of them. There we go. Does anybody have a random question for Carlos? The cheese one was really good. I liked that one a lot, actually.
I want to know more about Ahna. I want to do Ahna Asks.
Ahna asks. Okay, so first thing that you do when you get up in the morning.
The first thing that I do, or the first thing that you do?
No, I'm asking you. What is the first thing that you do when you get up in the morning?
Before I even say good morning to my wife, this is really sad. I grab my cell phone and I go to Snapchat and I see who's added me as a new friend on Snapchat, and I see who sent me messages on Snapchat. That's it.
What about you, Kevin?
It's probably not too different. Usually I am fighting with my phone alarm, and it goes off and I do the thing, and then I'm like, Siri, set the alarm for 6:45, and then 5 minutes later, Siri, set the alarm for 6:50. But I'm not much different than Carlos and probably a lot of people. The first thing I do is grab my phone and I see what's going on and all the important things I missed while I was sleeping.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny here. So Shannon's saying tisk tisk, kiss your wife, but I'm saying I haven't brushed my teeth yet. I'm just being completely transparent. I wake up, I check Snapchat.
Married, though. I mean, like, come on.
You could wake up.
Come on.
No, it doesn't have to be like open mouthed. Just be like a little. Kiss.
And sometimes we have a cute 7-year-old little girl in between us, so it's easier just to grab the cell phone and check Snapchat.
Family first, absolutely, and always. Dog breath.
That was a good question, though.
Actually, Anna, with that question, I actually told you my answer. The way I generally wake up, and Carlos, maybe this is you too, is when I'm checking Snapchat, the first thing I see is a snap from Anna that she's up getting her morning jog or yoga in. Usually at like 3:45 in the morning. She's like, I'm up. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to yoga.
Yeah, I'll tend to watch Anna's snaps first thing in the morning too. And typically I'll see, since we're in different time zones, I'll see her dinner from the night before, and it was like quinoa and something really healthy.
Hey, I haven't eaten quinoa in a while. Actually,
a jog first thing in the morning, followed by yoga, followed by like egg whites and something really healthy for breakfast. And it's like, wow, I just started my day off with this. I'm gonna go sit on my butt on the computer and drink coffee.
Thanks, y'all. Well, the very first thing that I do when I wake up is I drink a liter of water.
Yeah, so I was saying here, honor thy body is seriously her favorite. I love that too. I think that it's great. It's really put into perspective, and for those watching, Anna and I, we've built a great friendship through Snapchat, ironically. And just seeing your snaps has made me think completely differently around how I should eat, working out. So thank you, Anna.
Yeah, for sure. I think that, as entrepreneurs, I mean, we put in so much time, we put in so much work. We're always hustling. We're typically working way harder, way longer than your 9-to-5er. And if we don't take care of ourselves first, we're not going to be able to do what we do. Like Kevin, I know you work late. Carlos, I mean, like, dude, sometimes I swear you don't sleep. And, so honoring thy body that's my hashtag. For you folks who are not following me on Snapchat, that's something I add out a lot because it's extremely important to me. I feel like when we take care of ourselves, the world benefits because we become the best version of ourselves. And that helps us to, be able to handle like irritable people, traffic, whatever it is that life wants to throw at us. I heard this saying once that's like, you wake up in the morning with a pail full of water and you're carrying it with you throughout the day and it's like sloshing, right? And like the water's getting all over the place. And so typically by the end of the day, it's all gone, right?
Cheers.
I got you.
I've been doing this since Monday, the first day back to work, since the holidays.
Glug, glug, glug. All right. We have a question over here that I thought would be interesting to kind of chat about. Mevi, Cheval was asking, what are your thoughts? So let's just talk about that real quick. What do you guys think about Mevi? What have you heard?
I'll be completely transparent. I have only heard about it through hearsay. I've not downloaded the app. I gotta say, in full disclosure, that I am getting to the point where I am just getting tapped out with social networks between Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Blab. You just get to a point where there's only so much that you can take. I didn't even mention Periscope, if you notice, or Facebook Live. So there's only so much that you can humanly take on. And whether you're a brand or you're a marketer or you're just a brand individual, if you're going to be effective in these spaces, you got to just really focus on where your network is engaging. And, Mevi reminds me, just from what I've heard on the early onset, it's like when Beam came out, everyone in the social media community rushed on to get on. And as quick as they jumped on the bus was as quick as they jumped off the bus.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you guys, Blab was one of those where I heard about it for a month and I didn't actually join Blab until I saw that it was kind of sustainable. People weren't just jumping on, jumping off, because that's the worst thing, right? You don't want to get on a new network, start friending a bunch of people, start annoying and spamming your network on Facebook and your other platforms just to then hop off and say, oh, I was just on there testing it. So I think this is one of those where, again, guys, I'm going to just sit on the sidelines and see how it shakes out. Curious to know your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I mean, like, I just saw something else actually that's popped up, and I don't even remember the name of it. But I typically sit back with social networks and just kind of check out what's going on. I didn't jump into Meerkat till basically it was kind of like not cool anymore. I was just watching, just seeing what people are doing, seeing what kind of value they could add, how they were utilizing that space. And I think Periscope was, just the combination with Twitter. And then I liked the design that appealed to my design side. Then it became something that I started seeing, major value in being able to utilize. Social Media Day of last year, of 2015, was the first time that I actually used it myself. So, yeah.
Are you referring to Meerkat or Periscope?
Periscope.
Got
Periscope. It. Well, live streaming at all,
Yeah, Mevi.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, KP.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have much to add to it because I'm in the same boat as you, where I haven't checked it out yet. I've just read up about it and then heard from other people. I've heard, some of the diehard live streamers have seemed to go out of their way to kind of really trash it early on. And then you see some people that absolutely love it way more than somebody should after being on it for a day or two. So at some point I'll check it out and see if it's worth checking out further, but we'll see. As of now, it's just another thing.
Yeah, it's just another shiny object, right? And I've had these conversations with friends for a while now that just because something new comes out, as a marketer, we're inclined, or as a tech enthusiast, we're inclined to go play with it. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that the general population is going to catch up either. And I think that's something that, I know I'm going to be talking about more and more as this year progresses, is you have to think like a customer, think like a consumer. A consumer isn't everywhere where we are. And, that's just that's the reality. So speaking for myself as a consumer, outside of my role as a brand marketer, I just feel, like I said earlier on, it's becoming information overload personally. And, Snapchat and Facebook and Twitter has always been my go-to, or it's become my go-to, especially with Snapchat. So I think I'm going to hang tight with that.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump into the 3 questions. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Carlos, who would you like to see interviewed on my show besides yourself, of course?
No, there's not a particular person. I think the theme's consistent, building on what Sabas said, definitely bring people on that are not necessarily a part of the social media community. So it'd be great to bring on, some small to medium business owners, maybe that don't necessarily have a social presence. It would be great. When I think of behind the brand, I want to learn about a company. Like, one of my favorite shows out there is Diners, Drives, and Dives with Guy Fieri. I'm a big foodie, and I love watching that show because he goes to restaurants all over America and talks to different restaurant owners. So that's like almost what I think about behind the brand, is talk to business owners that are like always constantly focused on grinding and growing their business. And for them, coming on your show is going to be an outlet to kind of promote their business, but at the same time, share some technical knowledge with aspiring entrepreneurs out there. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think you were maybe in here earlier, but my first guest next week is, he has kind of utilized social media for his work, but not really. He's more so used like a website and those sorts of things. Definitely I would probably say he's more in the startup world than small business, but absolutely. I think that, the real golden nuggets, as I call them, are in the stories that we don't hear enough of. When I was in journalism school, I was all about finding the stories that you wouldn't find on the front page of a newspaper because they're so interesting that they're hidden away. While everyone else is talking about, like, freaking Miley Cyrus shaved her head. There's some really incredible stories that are happening out there in the world right now. Nobody's talking about them, and maybe it's about pain, but maybe it's about success. Maybe it's about whatever it's about. But those are the stories that I always like to find. And kind of the reason that I fell in love with Twitter was when I first got on it back in 2009, I didn't know what to do. So I was just following all these news organizations. And all of a sudden I was able to find all of those stories very easily because they were just tweeting out, all their stories. So it was fantastic to be able to go through and get them. So that's definitely what I will be wanting to bring on to this show for sure. Yeah, that, and also I'd love for you to get in the mind of these individuals and know their habits. So like the same way that you asked me, what's the first thing that I do in the morning? Those are things that make people just much more human and personable because it's not so much about work. Like, hearing about someone's work ethic is great. What's made them successful? Fantastic. But the minutia, what type of music do you listen to in the car? What do you do for fun? How do you disconnect? Like one of the people I look up to a lot in business is Gary Vaynerchuk. And I'm always really curious to know, how does Gary disconnect from the hustle and social media and devote time to his wife and 2 kids? Because that's something that I personally struggle with. So
I wonder about that too, honestly. I'm always like, You're always hustling. When's family time?
So like those are things that I would love for you to ask entrepreneurs, whether they're male or female, or wherever they're at in their walk of life and their journey, is how do they disconnect from their business or from their their hustle, so to speak, and devote time to doing things that are fun.
I think that's great. Yeah.
What's going on here? What'd Shannon say?
She's like, ask his wife. Okay, so you kind of asked or answered my second question a little bit, like what kinds of things would be most interesting to you in an interview? Do you want to expand on that at all before we jump into the last question?
Yeah, like I said before, minutia, the fine details, the questions that typically get glossed over. So if you're watching I love these documentaries that you see on I think it's either CNBC or MSNBC. Like there's the McDonald's one, the Walmart one that kind of goes behind the scenes. Those are the type of interviews that I love the most because you get to really know the human side of a business. So, as much as you can get to know about these people that you interview, the more valuable I think it would be for the audience, either listening or watching.
Okay, last question. What features of interviews have you seen that you really liked? I kind of feel like you have answered all of these already, but
my recommendation for you hosting a new show would definitely be to have a format. So be time bound, have a start time, and have a hard stop time. And that way you build that consistency. It also, I know like time is something that's really important to you, Ahna. So, you're like some of like the worst, whether it's blabs or just online shows, are the ones that seem to go on forever. It's like an infinite loop.
Yeah. No, that won't be happening.
there's a fine art to know when we're going to stop. And just using like Saba and I as an example, we will let our guest in the seat know when we get like around the 15-minute mark that we're getting close to wrapping up. So it's important to have questions. Also kind of keep it loose. I think Saba mentioned before, keep it loose where you have questions to guide you, but then there's also going to be free-flowing dialogue. And then as you get closer to time, you're letting them know in respect of their time, yours, and that of your viewers.
Completely agree. Yeah, I mean, I had a very kind of short run co-hosting a Blab show before, and he was fantastic about just kind of being as anal, organizational wise as I am. So we really planned out like a format for every show, and that's definitely something I'll be sticking to. I don't want to be one of those Blab shows that just goes on and on forever. So no worries about, how organized I am.
I know how organized you are, Miss Ahna Hendricks. I'm no stranger to that.
But that's still very, very, very good advice. Very good advice. Okay. All right. Well, any last words before we get Miss Shannon to jump in here?
No, I just want to say congratulations, Ahna, on kicking off your new show. For me, it's an honor to be able to kind of come in here on your pre-party. And, I think the world of you. For anyone who's watching this who is not familiar with Ahna, I am saying this is real talk. She is one of the most amazing people that I have met, not just on social media, but just in life in general. She's a great person. You guys are in for a treat. Subscribe to her, follow her, add her on Snapchat, and you definitely won't regret it. So she's someone I consider a friend, and I'm happy to support her, and I hope you guys will too.
Jet says stalk her.
and KP Kelly's not a bad guy himself. I'd throw that in there.
You're really going to make me blush here.
Good luck.
All right, Carlos. Thank you so much. Look, you're an incredible friend. You two have given me lots of feedback in terms of putting this show together. So I appreciate that. Appreciate your time. He was just kind of helping me work on a little bit of formatting for my design yesterday. So again, I appreciate that for sure.
Absolutely.
So,
all right, guys, take care.
See you, Carlos.
okay. Oh. What's the link for episode 1? Saba, you're making me jump ahead here, little lady.
She wants to subscribe now.
I know. Shannon, go ahead, jump in the seat.
Shannon, jump on in. Shannon joined me on my show this week.
Oh, nice.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Does my sound work, Kevin?
Yes.
He was the one that helped me through the issue on Blab where the reason I couldn't hear anything was because my volume was off.
Oh, yeah. I was all changing settings and doing all these things. He just didn't turn the volume up. It's okay. It happens.
Awesome. Well, it's nice to meet you.
You as well. This is fascinating, and this is a cool, good pre-show. Good idea here.
Thank you.
What people want, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, like I was saying, it's just that like nobody can know everything. I'm definitely no like Blab expert by any means. I've visited other people's shows, but I have not done my own yet, and I want to make sure that people have so many good ideas. When you should always be crowdsourcing when doing anything and getting feedback. It's just going to help you do whatever it is that you're doing much better. So I think I would be foolish to not start out by asking questions and just, giving what I think people want.
Absolutely. I think that's smart.
No, Jed, I did.
People giving great answers already.
I know. Like I literally have a lot of notes. I'm really excited about this.
I had to come up with a new answer because somebody stole my memory. I was all upset. I was coloring this is what I was doing while I was listening, coloring to get my creative side going here.
Oh, nice.
That's what I do. I color.
I want to get one of those.
I'm grown up. I color. What can I tell you?
Jed just asked if I skipped yoga for this show. Definitely not. I went to yoga at 1:00 today instead of my normal evening time.
There you go. And it was probably on Snapchat. You just missed it.
It was definitely on Snapchat. Definitely on Snapchat.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's start out with a random question.
Okay.
And we had a fun one over here from Natasha, so we're going to go with this.
Okay.
What is the last thing that you ate, Shannon?
I just had a bowl of Special K cereal with chocolate in it.
Oh, nice.
With almond milk. With almond milk. Yeah, delicious.
Yeah, you're my kind of lady.
That's probably
Definitely
bad.
my kind of lady.
Somebody will tell me that that's bad, especially when I'm going to see my trainer at 9 a.m., but that's okay.
No. I actually, I was just eating chocolate on my Snapchat. That was kind of like a little snack that I had. When I get when I really need something very sweet, I keep like 80% cocoa bars around. And I can only eat, not very much because it's so rich and just really filling, surprisingly. So, when I need sweets, man, I love chocolate, freaking love chocolate. So, always
you ever have Toblerone chocolate?
Oh, yeah.
Several years ago, I went to Sweden and discovered Toblerone and thought it was the cat's meow, the coolest, best chocolate ever. I was like buying armfuls and bringing it home, and then found that it was here at every grocery store. I had no idea.
My mother actually, my parents met in Europe, and so we grew up with like a lot of just European, things in the house. So Toblerones made their way in at some point. I used to have this whole little thing that I would do when I'd eat Toblerone bars. It was like I'd break them off one at a time with my coffee and really suck on the chocolate until like all the nuggets are left and
make it last.
I'm a little neurotic. It's okay.
I hadn't noticed at all.
Okay. So Miss Shannon, who would you like to see interviewed?
Dragon. Definitely a dragon.
The dragon. I had a dragon on my show. You actually knew a ton about social.
It was awkward, insane, a little intense. Yeah, but there was a dragon. There was a dragon on the show.
But he told me about that. So what was it, like a green dragon? Was it like fire-breathing dragon?
No, it was. I wish I could, give you some type of a visual. It was a little miniature, came out of the side and was like a puppet dragon guy with a really high-pitched voice, which I was confused about.
Interesting. Okay.
Actually, truthfully, I'd love to see you interview people like the real-life heroes that are out there in the world that don't get the spotlight enough. The opposite of anybody whose last name is Kardashian. How about that? Let's do that.
The KKs will not be on that show.
Yeah,
okay.
Let's have the opposite of people who are genuinely out there in this world, just plugging away, making a difference. And they don't want the spotlight, but they deserve the spotlight.
Yes. Yes.
That's kind of people I like to talk to.
I completely agree. I love that answer.
Well, my other answer was about people who create businesses out of nothing, but somebody stole that.
Yeah, we've had some great answers here.
Yeah, that was a great answer.
Okay, so what kinds of things would be of most interest to you in an interview?
I like what Carlos said, the idea of, what's the real deal? What does somebody do who happens to be successful when they're at their worst? Who are their go-to people? Who's in their inner circle? Who do they talk to about what's really happening behind the curtain? That kind of conversation is what I'd be curious about.
I really love that. So at their worst.
Yeah.
What are they like? Who do they talk to? What do they do?
What did you do? How did you get yourself out of it? Or who was around you to help you get yourself out of it?
I really like that. That's a fantastic question.
And the other answer that I had was, okay, help me out with who this is. Is it the Actors Studio? They interview on TV, right? But they do it at a college. Help me out. Is that the Actors Studio?
Yeah. Yeah, that's perfect.
They're fascinating interviews.
Yeah, no, completely. I mean, I grew up watching them and I always enjoyed them. It was just like I could sit down and watch an actor, maybe that I wasn't even really familiar with, didn't even know. And then by the end of the show, I'm like, wow, I really know this person. I can relate because I feel like we can all relate on some level. We've all, we can all relate. And so you walk away just feeling like, man, that person's really cool. So then maybe you check their movie out next time or whatever it is. But I just always loved the format, how simple it was, how personal it was. There's nothing fancy on stage. It was just two people in chairs, two people having a conversation. And it just so happened to be, in the middle of an audience. Exactly. I just always loved that.
So I think that watching a bunch of those is probably going to re-inspire you as to how creative and curious the questions are.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
And John on the side said it's at Pace University in New York.
Yes.
Road trip. That'd be a cool thing to do, right? To figure out a way to get in the audience. KP, can you do that?
You should.
Yeah.
You know people?
From Pace. I don't know people from Pace University. Maybe I do.
Maybe you do. You do, and they're, you know what, KP? Kevin, they're probably on a list of yours. One of those lists that I still don't really understand.
What Twitter lists were. She was wondering if she should be worried when she added to a list. And the first thing I said was, yes, panic. But no.
Panic, yeah, thanks for that. Yeah. I was added to in a influencer list today. Never met the person, so that was curious and interesting. And then I said, well, whatever, okay, I'm on a list. That maybe that's a good thing. Maybe they'll send me some money. You think?
Probably.
You never know.
No.
Probably not. Yeah, probably not. So anyway, Pace University and the Actors Studio, I think that's a cool vibe to get to really know people.
Absolutely. Okay, last question.
Yes.
What features have you seen on interviews on Blab that you like? Apparently, quite the blabber. So I'm interested to hear.
I'm blabbing and I'm just putting my tiptoes back in the Periscope and it's not fun. And I don't have Snapchat. My son explained it to me and I thought it was dirty, and so I'm not doing that. I don't want to know McVie, any of those, whatever. I'm done with all that. What I really like on the blab interviews are the round robin. Like you've got the people cycling in, cycling out. It's an energy entertainment machine. You've got to keep the energy going. And so what I would do is I would have your next person on deck and say, okay, so-and-so, you're going to be up next, and have your co-host, Kevin, kind of working that part from the sidelines and keeping the momentum. If you don't keep the momentum, right? I mean, I don't know how much you guys are watching a lot of blabs,
Yeah.
but the numbers just go
No,
really
absolutely.
fast.
Absolutely.
And so think about the round robin idea.
Yeah.
That's what I think works well.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah. So this is cool.
All right.
Congratulations. I'm excited for you, and I'm sure I'll be watching and cheering you on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Shannon, it is such a pleasure to meet you. And thank you, because your answer is just solid.
Kevin, it was a pleasure to meet you. Kevin, this is awkward. Kevin, KP, I'm confused.
Who's?
She's sassy.
I actually picked my head up when
I
was coloring, and you said Kevin, and I was like, who is that? Wait, there's a new guy here? What's happening? I was confused. All right, you guys, listen, have a great evening. Somebody else will get next in that hot seat. Get them going. Keep them going here.
All right. Thanks so much, Shannon. Okay. So we're actually at 9 o'clock here. I'm definitely going to be keeping these shows right around an hour. At least for recording wise. We will stay on afterwards for maybe like 20 minutes. Just kind of feel it out if people want to jump in, want to talk. But just to kind of wrap things up here right now, I want to tell you about the interview that's going to be kicking everything off next week. It is with a friend of mine, someone that I've known for a couple of years now. His name is Chris Reynolds. I'm going to be including the link here at the bottom, so you can go ahead and subscribe for it next week. Chris is an incredible, incredible individual. He has worked all over the world in a wide variety of different nonprofits. He is constantly giving back. He is constantly creating startups that help people to travel, to design their life. He's been at the top, he's been at the bottom, and he's just someone that's very, very inspirational. So I am very excited to have him on the show next week. He'll be kicking it off. So I hope that you all will join us. And yeah, I guess we're just gonna keep going up from there. Kevin, would you like to say anything before I shut down this recording?
No, just thank you for everybody who joined, and for those listening on the replay, but all of you who are still sitting here with us. I know Ahna appreciates it. I appreciate you. We have some diehard blabbers in here watching, and for some of you, it's the evening time. You're taking time out of your night to hang out with us, so that is awesome.
Yes, no doubt, no doubt. I really appreciate everybody's support. It means the world to me. I'm honored that you're here and that you took the time. These shows will be posted on YouTube. In addition, I will be starting a podcast that will be going on iStitcher. Is it iStitcher? Stitcher? And iTunes. I'm like so new. I have friends.
Put I in front of anything itself.
Stitcher. Okay, so you can actually subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is not just, a place for you to find these shows or these replays, but in addition, my Wednesday Wisdoms, which you may very much enjoy. So here's a link to subscribe to that YouTube channel if you would like. And thank you again so much.